Greetings, Stars fans. It seems like these videos are getting a little harder to do here lately in the month of January. It has not been kind to your Dallas Stars. Stars lose 3-2 to the Los Angeles Kings. If you didn't know, this is the Two Brothers Mic'd Up show. We sit down after each and every Stars game, give our thoughts, and we discuss them for you, the internet. With each video, we start with the past video and give you our predictions that we have for the following game. So always stick around. We have predictions and scores of what we think will happen. Quinn, you liked a score of 3-2 for the Stars if they were going to win, but you also had a score of 4-1 if LA was going to win. Not really in the ballpark with those. Maybe a little. I actually had a low scoring game. I had a 2-1 Stars win or a 3-1 Kings win. I was a little closer with the 3-1. But the Stars actually show life in this game. Go ahead and talk about the first 10 minutes of the period and how you saw the effort from the Stars.
It was good effort, given out that they came out with a purpose. They played physical. They wanted to establish themselves in this game to show that LA is not going to be beating them up, and it was an overall good showing.
Yeah, the first period was the most of the action that we were going to get throughout the game. Believe it or not, we had 4 goals in the first period. Let's go down the list. We have Hemsky, we have LeCavalier, we have Doughty, and then we have Eakin. Ales Hemsky scores within 3 minutes of the period. It was a good sign because it was that reunited line of Janmark, Roussel, Hemsky, and that was the best line in the last game. It was by far the most energy that I think the Stars got from the San Jose game, and it actually carried over quite well into the LA game because they came out and they set a tone. They set a tone with, pressure and offense and some pretty good defensive-minded scoring or playing. But then we see LA really start responding, really putting on the pressure on Dallas. We see them bring their hitting game. You don't really think of the LA Kings as kind of a speed team, but I will tell you one person that I always forget is super fast is Jeff Carter. Jeff Carter was out there and he was using his speed to his advantage. I think he was probably one of the best LA King in the first period just on his speed alone. He was creating so much. And we see it wasn't just the Janmark line that I liked. I also liked the reunited Supernova line of Jamie Benn, Spezza, and Sagan. I've always liked that line together, but it kind of neuters the offense a little bit when you stack everything up on that one line. And Cody Eakin's line in the first period was actually, relatively pretty good as well. They got a goal. I thought Sharp was excellent. I think Sharp was probably Sharp and Janmark. Again, the most consistent Dallas Stars players. They were the ones with the most energy. They were the ones that applied the most pressure when you really, really needed something out of our offense. You could always really count on Janmark and Sharp. But this is a stat that I am going to keep track for the rest of the season that I went back and looked at, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, but Dallas's special teams has been a big concern in the month of January. They can't kill penalties. They can't score on their power play for the life of them. And what has me worried about this is that this is now the 28th game in the season. They've only played 47. This is the 28th time that the Dallas Stars have taken the first penalty in the game. Now, a lot of you might be saying, well, what's the big deal about that? You know, someone has to take the first penalty. True. But what that does to Dallas is it zaps all kinds of momentum away from them. The Dallas Stars were in that first period. They were in it. They were kind of controlling everything. I mean, even though they were being, outshot towards the end of it, I still think that they controlled a lot of what was happening in that period. And why I make a big deal about this is that since Dallas can't kill penalties, they are being allowed that they're allowing the other team to come in, score on their power play, and take momentum back from them. So we see Jeff Carter, who I highlighted earlier in the video. He uses his speed on the outside against Klingberg. Now, Quinn, did you notice anything about that play?
I mean, it's kind of seemed like Klingberg was kind of anticipating maybe for him to dump it off the boards and try to skate around him. It seems like he just gives him too much room, and especially with a player like Jeff Carter, who's a big body that can move, kind of like a Spezza type player.
Yeah, or like a Rick Nash.
You can't give them that much room because they're going to blow by you, and then as soon as you try to put the body on them, like they're going to pour that physicality, and you're probably going to lose that battle.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much dead on. What you see when you go back and you watch a replay of that play is Klingberg is allowing too much room between him and Jeff Carter. And Jeff Carter, an experienced vet in this league, he sees it. He knows that he's going to have all this room. And you'll see a little stutter from Klingberg, anticipating Jeff Carter to maybe just dump it off and try to skate through Klingberg. And once Klingberg kind of puts his hands up in that little hesitation, Jeff Carter has him. He has him all the way. Klingberg is now his little bitch, and he uses Klingberg's stick. Granted, maybe it should have been a holding the stick against Carter as well, as long as a hooking call as well. But he gets the call because he uses his speed and strength to crash towards the net. That's going to get called 9 times out of 10. And this is highlighting a lot of Klingberg's insufficient amount of physicality that he is showing right now in the month of January. It's being highlighted. It was highlighted on that play. And with that penalty, Vincent Lecavalier, recent Philadelphia Flyer tradee to the Los Angeles King, now has his 3rd goal in like 5 games with LA, when he didn't have a goal at all with Philadelphia. Like, Lecavalier is finding that California is not so bad. And so with that, you see the Stars starting to get a little dazed. They start getting a little back on their heels because they realize the goal that they gave up, to be honest, like, I'm not sure how Kari was thinking he was going to be able to play that. Yeah, it was a little off-centered. Do you know if it touched a defender? I know Nemeth was right there with... I know Nemeth was right there in front of Lecavalier's shot, but did it touch Nemeth?
I don't know. They kind of played it off like it was, like, deflected a little bit. I think it was just like that perfect fluttering top shelf puck that is just gonna be unpredictable to read.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, LeCavalier hasn't really been showing much as of late, but I mean, he's still a really good hockey player. He helped lead Tampa Bay to that Stanley Cup. So, I mean, this guy's no run-of-the-mill player.
right. No, and Dallas was in the running for, the LeCavalier sweepstakes whenever he was going off to Philadelphia. Like, Dallas was like, yeah, we'd like a little bit of a LeCavalier in our sauce. And Dallas eventually, skips on him and picks up Tyler Seguin, which was great for our franchise. But LeCavalier is a good, smart player. And he hits the shot, and it looks like it's fluttering off speed, but the way Kari plays it, disgusting. Like, I'm not sure how you can defend the positioning that he has on it. I might need to talk to some people that have played goaltending to see what kind of input they have on that type of play for how you're supposed to play that. But because I grew up playing center, so I'm not exactly sure how a goalie is supposed to play that. But from what I saw, was not a very good goal. But then we get just a blunderous play from Kari Lehtonen. Not only does he give up that goal, but then he also gets a delay of game trapezoid penalty. When is the last time we've seen a penalty out of that? I honestly cannot remember the last time I was actively watching a game of any team. I mean, I don't watch every game out there. No one can possibly do that. But I don't remember the last time this actually got called a penalty or a goalie was actually dumb enough to play it. Yeah, it hopped. Okay, it hopped over Kari's stick. But once it hopped over, don't touch it. Get back to the net because that puck is now gone. I know it had to have been a gut reaction. It's like, oh shit, popped over my stick, so I got to get it. But Kari should know better than that. He should absolutely know better because, especially when it comes to contact with the puck, it is just almost right on the line whenever he gets contact with it. So a dumb penalty right there. Another dumb penalty. And 4 seconds later, Drew Doughty scores. But the thing about that goal is Kari tried to make up for the call that went on him on the penalty. Kari Lehtonen tries his hardest to sell a goalie interference. Goes to a coach's challenge. Quinn, talk about what you saw on the replay from the coach's challenge and what you thought of it.
I mean, I completely agree with what the call was given. It was kind of a weak goalie interference if it was going to be anything like that. All that's really happening is that you see him come out and he's out of the blue paint whenever contact is made with him, and it looks like he's trying to push him out of the way. So maybe that's what the refs took into consideration whenever they decided to call it a good goal.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people were pointing to the Minnesota goalie interference with Roussel. There's two. I mean, they're two different plays. The thing is that and I'll break it down player by player. Let's start with the goalie. Kari Lehtonen on this goal. What he does is he actually pushes out and tries to play. He tries to get in position for the puck, but what he does is he initiates the contact with the player. Okay. Now with Dubnyk, whenever he has the call, what he does is that he slides sideways, doesn't push out forward, and makes no attempt to really, get into position to play the shot. With Toffoli, what he does is he stays outside of the crease, doesn't initiate contact with the goaltender. The key is he stays outside of the crease. And with Roussel in front of Dubnyk, he skates into the crease, but well after Klingberg already has the puck. Kari Lehtinen tries to sell the goaltender interference, and I think that's what hurt him. Dubnyk didn't try to sell the goaltender interference. He kind of just sat there and was like, "Ooh, what am I going to do?" When he damn well could have played the puck better. So I think ultimately Kari's acting job went against him. But 30 seconds later, it's a moot point, and the Stars get a goal from Cody Eakin off of a fantastic shot from Sharp. That thing was a howitzer. It was a missile, a huge rebound, and Cody Eakin is able to pick that up. One of the first times that he's scored on an actual goalie in a while. And yeah, it was going into the second period. Everyone I think was like, "Yeah, okay, we're in this. We can play with them." Kinda. I mean, the Stars did play well. That's the thing. They played well, but they didn't play their best. They still had double-digit turnovers. They weren't forcing a lot, but the thing is that they just weren't lucky. They weren't putting themselves to get in the spots that you could actually get lucky. They didn't put a lot of pucks on the net to where you can get some kind of garbage goal. And going into let's talk about the later parts of the game. Quinn, what did you see from the defense, especially from Lindell? He's first NHL game. What did you see out of him?
You didn't see practically anything out of him, to be honest.
Yeah,
I really think he was pretty much invisible for a lot of the game.
Yeah, he wound up with a -1 plus minus, only 14 minutes of ice time, which is, understandable since it was his first game. But yeah, you didn't see anything out of him. And you didn't see really much of anything out of Nemeth either. That's the concerning part, is that Nemeth was being sold as, the next big defenseman. But now it looks like he's going to be another piece in a trade deadline thing, because right now I'd rather have Alexiak. I mean, the sample sizes that we're getting from Alexiak and Nemeth, I like Alexiak's game much better. I think Nemeth is regressing. I don't like what I'm seeing out of him. But then again, I don't really like much of anything out of the Dallas' defense so far. I mean, Klingberg had a better game, but he had a lot of negatives with a couple of positives. His scoring chances, he hasn't had scoring chances or looks like that in 2 weeks, 8 games maybe. But Dallas' defense is really hurting right now. And it's that depth that I think is going to come back, because we don't have a lot of the depth that a lot of other teams are having on their defense. I'm not too sure how to fix the defense, but a trade deadline projection is, I feel they're going to go after a big name defenseman. It would make sense, because right now I feel the Stars are decent enough at depth on offense, but the Stars are lacking another good name on defense. Oh, look, a Kari Lehtinen penalty. Going into the third period, Milan Lucic scores 6 minutes in, off of what I will say was just a turn of terrible events after terrible events. Kari had a decent game. It was alright, but a lot of the time he was spinning around, doing a lot of different stuff, not really getting settled. And on that Lucic goal, it was him not really getting settled But it all falls on the biggest sour point that I have is Roussel. Roussel has been a decent player so far. You know, I feel as if his passing game could work on a lot more things. You know, his passing is just atrocious. But he's not there to make pretty passes. But he loses his stick, and you go back and you watch the replay. There is 11 seconds between him losing the stick and the puck getting passed around and eventually getting scored. There's 11 seconds that Roussel just abandons his stick, doesn't even think about going to go get it. There is absolutely no reason as to why you should not go and get your stick. I understand whenever he loses his stick at first and he tries to play, you know, the shot blocker. I get that. I commend him for it. But once the puck gets shot and then it goes over in the corner and then goes up to the blue line, you're like 4 feet away from your stick. Go pick it up. When Lucic scores that goal, he is within a stick's reach to put pressure on him, but yet he neglects to go full-on shot blocker and say that, oh, you know, I won't need this thing that's necessary for my game to play. That was a terrible decision from Roussel. The game ends 3-2. What were your overall feelings? Like, how did you like Dallas playing? Did you like their effort? And do you think they build off of this?
I absolutely think they build off this. The first period was definitely like probably the best hockey this team has played in a long time. Just they seem to have a habit, like whenever they get scored on now, it's just like desperation mode. They're down 1 goal and they automatically turn into desperation mode. It's kind of frightening when you think about it, because they start getting panicked, they start making those passes that they have no right making, and you could see that in the second and third period. So I would like for them to do less of that and focus more on developing their defensive game, because right now the defense is just awful. I highly recommend wanting to see Klingberg and Goligoski split up. I think those two being together right now is kind of a hindrance to the team.
Yeah, those two are just not playing very well together. It's pretty bad. Let's go into I really don't want to just keep talking negative about the team, because overall that was a good game. And the thing about it, what I wrote down about some notes about this game, the last thing I wrote about this game was this loss would have been really respectful. Like, if the Stars, out of the last 8 games that they've played, if the Stars have won at least 3 or 4 of those games, if they were going in with a record of 4-4, 4-3, 3-4, I think I would live with this loss. But this loss only compiles onto what is still going wrong with this Stars team, is that their lack of good passing, their turnover rate. They need to stop doing double-digit turnovers. Having any kind of momentum taken away from them, taking really dumb penalties. But again, a lot of people will look at this loss as, you know, a good sign, but you have to look at this whole month. I mean, they're still on the downturn. A lot of people were like, this is the game where they turn it around. I don't agree. I think next game against the Oilers, if we're going to turn this around, it is going back home. A lot of people thought the Kings game was where the turnaround was because we played well against the Sharks in the third period. It didn't happen. the Oilers game, going back home, this is where the team needs to turn it around. Let's go into the ratings of this game. What did you rate this game?
I'd give it a solid C. You know, they in the first period they played great towards the end of the game. It's just that middle fragment that seems to be plaguing the Stars right now. The defense, I mean, I think we've pretty much said all we can say about the defense. There just needs to be something that changes about it. Maybe that'll kickstart the defense into back to the beginning of the season. And they managed to stay in the game despite losing. Like you said, this would have been it still was a respectful loss. I can be okay with a loss like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can be okay with this kind of loss, but I think you're only okay with it if you have a decent record in this month. I still think it's a bad loss. They let this game get away from them. But no, I completely understand, and I agree with everything that you said. I gave a rating of a C- because, you know, they still lost. They still had bad turnovers. They still had bad passing. The goaltending, the last goal from Lucic, it hits off Klingberg. But, I mean, you can't really fault Kari on that one. So this game should have at least gone to overtime to get some kind of point out of it. Because right now, they only have 4 points out of a possible 16. And any kind of lead that they had is gone now. Because the Blackhawks just are probably not going to lose for the rest of the season with that 12-game streak that they have going on right now. But let's go into the next game where we give predictions. What kind of predictions do you have against the Oilers?
Well, Dallas needs to come out strong, just like they've been doing in the past couple of games, but the strength of their game needs to elevate to the second period. They need to establish that strong, dominant game, good defense, good physicality, good shooting, good passes. You know, use your skill against this Edmonton team. And if they can do that, I expect them to win, we'll say 4-1. And if Edmonton comes out on top, I think it's just because the plague of the January stretch that we're in, and it's going to be 3-0.
Interesting. Now, I went back and looked. Since the 2011-2012 season series with Edmonton, the Stars are 11-4 against the Oilers. Now, a lot of people think that's a gimme point, but the way the Stars have played against bottom feeder teams this season, it indicates that this is not gimme points. The Stars did beat them in the first one, but they got beat in the second game. I think the Oilers are considered always a trap game, but right now I don't think there's any kind of a trap game with how the Stars are playing. So with that in mind, I don't think it's a gimme game, but I still like the Stars for a score of 4-2. I like 4. They need to get they need to get back to their above average scoring. I think against the Oilers, they could get that. But like last year, whenever the Stars really needed a win against the Oilers kicked the crap out of them. And I think it was a 4-0 game. And I'm going to go with that exact score if the Oilers win. So there's our discussion. Those are our thoughts. If you liked what we said, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe if you'd like to keep up with all the videos. Share the video wherever you would like. Leave any kind of feedback. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Remember, this is a show for fans, by fans. And, as always, tune in next time.